I got it.
But actually, what? Say hi, everybody. Wave. Wave.
Was this a trick to get everybody on camera?
No.
Started already?
Yeah, let's start already.
Who uses those cameras now?
No, right? Old school. Take it back to the 70s.
How do you get
Did you get that in that t-shirt?
You got sign?
Oh,
You did it already.
I know.
Right, you ready?
I'm not getting trans.
In an episode of the animated series Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, one of the members of Section 9 security team is sent to investigate the origins of a cyber attack at a social welfare facility. The facility specializes in treating a mental condition known as closed shell cyber brain syndrome, in which the patients suffer from being wired to the internet for too long and suffer similar withdrawal symptoms such as that of alcohol or heroin. This syndrome also not only affects adults, but children as well. While this is a fictitious example set in a future where many people have cyberized or receive cybernetic implants that allows them to connect to a very complex and expansive global network, there is a very real and similar condition today called called internet addiction disorder. Internet addiction disorder is also known as internet addiction, online addiction, or simply computer addiction. It is considered an impulse control behavior, meaning that a person fails to act fails to control or acts in a way that is harmful to themselves or others. This disorder covers many different subtypes of internet addiction, including cyber sex addiction, cyber relationship addiction, where virtual friends become more interesting than real life relationships, net compulsions such as online gambling and online shopping, information overload, where web surfing leads to low productivity at work, and computer addiction to offline games. It can also lead to physical symptoms such as carpal tunnel syndrome and sleep disturbances. While each person's use of the internet varies, it often becomes a problem when it is seriously overlooked. Another alarming presence is the amount of exposure that our children are exposed to on a day-to-day basis from tablets, computers, televisions, laptops, and anything else that can be connected to the internet. Today, I will talk to you about how to recognize the signs and symptoms of internet addiction disorder, how to limit your exposure, and how you can teach your children to do the same. How often do you find yourself staying online longer than you intended to? Do you become irritable when somebody asks you what you're doing online? Or how many times do you tell yourself only 5 more minutes when really you know you're going to be on there longer? If you can answer yes to all these questions, you may have a problem. But why do we do it? Why do we become so addicted to the virtual world? The number one reason is to relieve ourselves of unwanted feelings of stress, anxiety, and depression. The online world becomes an escape. Another reason is we already have another addiction that coincides with online addiction, such as a high sex drive or excessive compulsive gambling. Or perhaps we just spend too much, we just love shopping and we're spending more money than what we have. Another reason is because we have a physical disability that limits our movement. Whatever the case, online addiction causes people to become withdrawn. They can't focus on work or their lives. And eventually, their relationships become problematic. They lose interest in their friends, their family, their work, and other things that are important in life. These people feel a euphoria that they can never feel in the real world. However, like all addictions, there are ways to alleviate and break free of them. The first step is recognizing the problem. While the internet can be used as an outlet for those unwanted feelings of stress and anxiety, there are more healthier ways of coping with those feelings. Going to the gym and working out is a great way of relieving stress and anxiety. Keeping a log of online activity, whether you're doing it for work or non-related work or non-work, can help you see how much time where you spend online the longest, and if there are any triggers associated with it. If there are other addictions associated with your online addiction, the best way is to seek medical treatment. Remember, the internet is a tool and should be used as such. While it might be easy for us to turn off our screens, another obstacle is teaching our children to do the same. Think about when you were growing up. How many screens did you have back then? How many do you have now? Now think about how many your children are exposed to. How many hours are being spent online instead of doing homework? It is estimated that almost 44.5 hours is being spent in front of a screen for children ages 8 to 18 in 1 week. And usually, the most susceptible are those who already have more social and coping skills. Instead of talking to friends face to face, children are using social networks and instant messaging, sometimes even talking with strangers. If you are concerned about your child's usage, remember, you are not condoning them for the excessive usage. You have to be an example. Make sure to set clear, defined rules of how much time can be used for homework and how much time can be used for other things such as web surfing or chatting online. Both helpguide.com and WebRoot discourage cutting the cord completely, as it can cause children to rebel and use it excessively instead. There are also apps out there such as ParentKit, Mama Bear, and the Kindle Free Time that can monitor and limit your child's use on mobile devices. Another way is to remove the computer from the child's room and make it invisible in the house. While these are just some of the ways to ease your children off the screens, it's important to remember that children learn from their parents, and you should monitor your own activity as well. While the early example of cyberbrain closed shell syndrome is a more recent example of what the possibility or evolution of internet addiction can be, the idea of the dangers of escaping into a virtual world have been around for decades. In 1950, science fiction author Ray Bradbury wrote the short story The Belt, in which two children play in a nursery that can create a virtual reality world of whatever they want. However, the children become so dependent on the nursery that when the parents become fearful of the appearance of an African belt and try to remove the children away from the nursery, the children use the virtual reality making world of the nursery to heal their parents. Again, this is a very fictitious and highly exaggerated example, but there are some serious similarities of psychological dependency and withdrawal, symptoms of withdrawal that are present today. Productivity and sleep are being lost, while millions of dollars are being spent in online gambling and shopping, in impulsive shopping online. world becomes more dependent on the digital infrastructure, it's important to know when too much time is enough. You have learned the signs and symptoms of internet addiction, how to slowly break your how to slowly decrease your usage, and how you can teach your children to do the same. As long as we practice safe usage, we can still be connected in the physical world. Question?
Does that include internet gaming?
Yes. That's
Damn it.
internet gaming.
Yeah,
Red button?
yeah, I was bought in 10 days.
Yeah,
Go,
that's not internet.